Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's Debsy, and place to be, it's Debsy. Bloop, bloop, that's me. Boop, Debsy. Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week and had a great day. You did not get a video from me yesterday because I know I said I was going, yes, you would get a video from me. However, I don't know, I was feeling like, I wasn't feeling the greatest yesterday. So I just took some time. I watched some TV, which is what we're going to discuss today. I got some coloring done. I made a yummy crock-pot chicken and dumplings, and I just relaxed. So I had just taken the day to just recharge. And that brings me to the topic of today's video. Today's video, what time is it? 7:20. So we have a little bit of time to talk about what I binged yesterday. Okay. So I had seen people talking about this on TikTok. As it turns out, it is the number two most popular show on Netflix, and it's called Amy Bradley is Missing. So here's the deal. Amy Bradley, her mother, her father, and her younger brother, Brad, they go on a cruise in 1998. It was aboard the Royal Caribbean Rhapsody of the Sea. And as you can tell, Amy goes missing. Well, so here's what happens. The parents go, they all go out to dinner, and then the parents they're all in the same room. They're all in the same cabin. And so the parents go to bed, but Amy and her brother, they go to this club, to this disco, and they're dancing, and there's, people are drinking. And her brother, Brad, he goes back to the room, and then a little bit later, Amy comes back, and they sit on the balcony, and they're having a couple cigarettes, and they're talking, and she says something like, I'm not feeling so great, and the bassist from this band that was playing was flirting with me, was I guess trying to put the moves on me. And his name is Alistair Douglas. His nickname is Yellow. They call him Yellow. So the brother goes to bed, and Amy decides to stay out there on the balcony. Well, her father gets up a little bit later on, sees her legs there, sees her shoes and her cigarettes, and he's like, okay, Amy is on the balcony, she's safe. Then he gets up a little bit later on, I think it was at 6 o'clock, and she wasn't there. And he's like, well, maybe she went, her shoes were there. I guess she had on a yellow shirt, and then underneath maybe had a tank top or a t-shirt on underneath. And her shirt was there, and her Birkenstocks and her cigarettes. So he thought, well, maybe she just left to go out and get coffee, or maybe watch the sunrise or take a walk. I'll look around the ship. So he looks around the ship everywhere, and he can't find her. So he comes back to the room, tells his wife, I can't find Amy. So they're looking all over the place. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if anybody has watched this, right off the bat, a red flag was up in my mind. If anybody has watched it, Kirk Detweiler, the cruise ship director, this guy was an asshole. His my red flags were up and my creepometer was dinging the whole time, because from the very beginning, he was very callous and very cold about this whole thing. Like from the beginning, he's talking about like, oh, when you're a cruise director, you have to have fun and blah, blah, blah. And he was very, very upbeat for a documentary about a missing woman. So they go to guest relations and they're like, hey, listen, I know we're going to be docking soon, but could you please make an announcement over the intercom, telling Amy Bradley to please meet us here, or please come to the room, come to your room, or something like that. And he was really like, no, we're not going to do that. He's like, first of all, he said, they came to me a bit forceful. Okay, well, their daughter is missing. Okay, so there's that. They can't find their daughter. So there's that. So they were a bit forceful, and they were wanting answers, and they wanted me to make this announcement. And I thought that was very intrusive to the other people, the other guests. It was 7 o'clock in the morning and people were sleeping. Oh well. Listen, you're on vacation. If you're awoken at 7 o'clock in the morning, guess what? You're on a ship that's floating along. You got a bed. You're on vacation. You can nap all day if you want. I can't believe it. The amount of uncaring and lack of compassion that these people on this ship had was pissing me off to no end. But this cruise director, eventually this cruise, he gave off the impression to me that he couldn't care less. He couldn't give a shit less about this. So, okay, so time passes and they're getting ready to dock. This boat is getting ready to dock. And the mother is like, no, don't dock the boat. Don't let people off until we find her. Which I don't blame her for wanting to do so, but they dock people, they let people off. And he was like, this guy, this Kirk Detweiler, this cruise director, he was like, I had a big pompadour and I had a lot of hair, so I was probably gelling up my hair, and then makes the announcement, hey, everybody have fun off the boat. And he really did say something like, it was like, well, one girl's missing, but we're not going to ruin everybody's cruise because they spent money on this. And I think he even said, life goes on, cruises go on. Kirk Detweiler. That was his name. So everybody got back on the boat. They did like one of these massive searches where everyone was to search their rooms. The family didn't see any of this. They were just told that this is what happened. She wasn't found. So now the question is did she fall or did she jump? I'm going to tell you, there's no way, or was she pushed or did she jump? First of all, there's no way that she could have been pushed because number one, this banister would have been pretty high up on her. It's not just a little one. You would have to be up on a chair and to be pushed over. Also, if somebody had come into that room, they would have, because they used cards. They used key cards. When somebody comes in the room, it makes a record of that. It does not make a record when you leave, but it makes a record when you come in. There's no record of anybody coming in and pushing her over. And if somebody did push her over, they would have heard that. Like, there's no way that it would be quiet that you push someone over. They would have heard this. So, and did she jump? No. I do not think she jumped. The reason being is because she just graduated college. She had landed a job. She had signed for an apartment. She had just adopted a dog. She would not have done that. No. They did include in there, and I don't know, and I felt kind of shitty that they did this, but they put in there also, like, the fact that a little bit before this, Amy had come out to her parents, and her parents weren't great with it. So they were like, I feel like they put that in there to maybe be like, well, this could be a reason why she had jumped, you know, why she purposely just jumped overboard. That wasn't the case at all. And there was another part in it too that I wish that they wouldn't have done this, but there was a woman that a girl that she had grown up with, named Molly, and they ended up being like very like best friends. And then that turned into them dating. And Amy had kissed another woman, and I guess Molly found out, or no, Amy told her about it in this letter that she put in a bottle. And she said that she did this and she's so sorry and she's so immature. And, you know, I feel like I'm stranded out here. Please save me. I can only see a future with you and this and that. And at first it was like, are they putting this in here because they're trying to make it seem like she had jumped, like she had purposely jumped overboard? But then the woman was like, no, this was really a love letter. I didn't like the fact that they went and told her story, like her coming out story. I think that's just because that's personal to everybody. Like that's their story to tell. And Amy's not here, so I mean, that shouldn't really be anybody else's story to tell. That's how I feel about it. But getting back to this, so yeah, they're like, okay, she probably either jumped or she was pushed. The authorities in Curacao, because they were in Aruba and now they're going to Curacao, and the authorities were alerted. They did a search. They did like a massive search of the waters. And this one guy who lived there his whole life was like, if there was a body that went overboard, it would have either washed up, like the whole body would have washed up, or if she was attacked by sharks, then as terrible as it sounds, body parts would, and nothing surfaced. Here's the thing. Immediately when I heard about this, I was like, I guarantee that was human trafficking, because here's the thing. A cruise ship, the environment of a cruise ship is ripe and perfect for human traffickers, because when you get like 12 miles into the ocean, you're in like international waters. So despite the fact that you're an American citizen, it doesn't matter. You're not in America. And there's like a lawlessness to it. It's a floating village, and security, the law is the security of the boat. And the main person in charge is the captain. Here's the thing. When anything like this happens on one of these boats, because this can't be the only time something like this has happened. when anything like this happens, I would imagine that the first person they call is their legal department. Because if a story like this gets out, that somebody was, there's thought that somebody was kidnapped to be taken and sold into human trafficking, if something like that gets out, well, who's going to want to go on a cruise then? I mean, are you going to feel safe? And if that's the case, then what's that going to affect? That's going to affect your money, because the captain is an employee of that multi-billion-dollar corporation. See, like ultimately his main focus is going to be on keeping his job, making money for this company. It's the same thing with this guy, Kirk Detweiler. I keep saying his name because Kirk Detweiler, he was the cruise director. Please, if you have not watched this, please watch this. I have never seen somebody who was so uncaring and cold and callous about a family losing their daughter and a family losing another family member. It was so terrible. And this guy, from what I understand from somebody on TikTok, this guy, gonna say his name, Kirk Detweiler, he was working, he'd been working for Royal Caribbean for like 30 years or something like that. Do I think he was in on it? I do think he was in on it. So another person that was kind of weird, something was off, was their next door neighbor. Their next door neighbor, Wayne, he was like, he saw her at the disco that night. He's like a solo cruiser. There's nothing wrong with that, because as you know, I'm going to start to take myself on solo dates, but he liked being alone. But he liked being alone, but he would constantly like talk to Amy. Like he was next door to them, so he would like, if he knew she was over there, he would, poke his head around, and they would talk. So she disappears, and before that, you never heard a peep from this guy. But then once she disappears, he starts like playing his TV real loud, and they can hear him talking, like he's talking to someone. I don't know, that was odd. But here's the other person that is of major interest. And I think this guy might have been the guy that like was the person to actually maybe snatch the people. But there was this guy, remember I said, Alistair Douglas. He was a bassist in this band, this band that played on board. His nickname was Yellow. Okay, so here's the thing. There were two women, and they saw, somewhere between 5 and 6, they saw Yellow and Amy heading up on this glass elevator, because they were on this top deck, and they saw them. Well, then a little bit later on, Yellow on his own walked past the two of them. And the crazy thing was, like, days before in the cruise, he was like talking to them and, trying to, kind of like trying to pick them up and trying to really, really talk to them, this and that. And they were like, no, thanks. And so now, before he was really talking to them, now he just rushed past them. So, and he didn't have Amy. So there's that. Here's the thing. So after 4 days of looking, the family decided, like, well, rather than going to Puerto Rico, we're just going to fly out and go home. I can tell you this. Listen, I can't say exactly for certain how I would act, like, until I'm in that situation, but I feel like I might actually stay there and further search for her. But I mean, I can't say for certain what I would do in a situation until I'm in it. I thought it at first was a little odd that they were not, that they weren't staying, but I can also understand. I mean, they got home and they really ramped up their pursuit of trying to find her. So the second episode was like, I saw her. All these people have seen her. Like, the one guy 6 months later is in Curacao and on a beach, sees 2 guys and 1 woman, and the woman walks up to him. Like, the woman walks up to him, and he's like, she tried to say something, and the guy came up and pulled her away and, like, stared at him, like, really rude, like, stared at him. And he was like, that for certain, that was Amy. The pictures matched. She had the same tattoo, and that man was yellow. He's like, 100% I knew it. So the brother and the father go back overseas, and they're approached by a cab driver who's like, I know, I've seen your daughter. She's alive. She came up to my cab one night, asked where there is a phone, and I pointed her in the direction, and she went the other way. There was another woman. There was a woman who, there was another woman in Aruba who was in a bathroom. They were on a cruise ship too, but she was like, before we head out, I'm going to go to the bathroom. She went to the bathroom. She was in a stall, and this guy comes, I guess she heard a male's voice, and there was a woman, and he was like, you better be ready. You better be ready once they get here, and this deal better go on without a hitch. And she said something like, well, can we stop by and see the kids? And he's like, yes, we'll see the kids, but be ready to go. And then he left, and she went out, and the woman, and she was talking to this woman, this girl, and she said, what's your name? And she said, oh, my name's Amy. And she thought she said she's from West Virginia. Amy was from Virginia. She said, I thought she said that she's from West Virginia. She said, oh, so I started saying, my daughter's name is Amy, and we're from the South too, and she's around your age. And she got, like, real agitated. And then all of a sudden, the guy comes in and is like, what's going on in here? And the woman was just like, I'm just nothing. I better get going. I'm a tourist. I'm gonna miss the boat. Okay, bye. But here's the thing about all these people. And then there was another guy who was in the military, who was in the Navy. He went to a bar, and there was 2 guys and 2 girls, and like a Mexican looking girl, and another girl who bared a resemblance to Amy. And she went up to him at a table and said, my name's Amy Bradley, and I was on a boat. I got off the boat because I wanted to score some drugs, and now I owe them $200. So, and then he just got out of there because he shouldn't have been there anyways. But this is the thing. All these people see her, but nobody tells anybody. There was one person, I think maybe the guy that saw her on the beach had said something. So these people, all these people see her, but nobody tells the authorities. Those are the two things that got me about this. Number one, the fact that none of the staff on this boat seemed to give a shit. And number two, all these people that saw her, they didn't say anything to anybody. And now here's the thing. Okay, her parents had said that she drank beers and she smoked cigarettes, but she wasn't into, she wasn't into drugs or anything like that. To be honest, I don't think she left the ship on her own, because her parents had said if she was going to go anywhere, or if she was going to be more than like 10 minutes late or something like that, she would tell us. She would not have left the ship and not told us. I think she was taken. Here's the thing, in the very beginning, they say that the wait staff was very attentive to her. Like, all the male wait staff was very flirty with her. From what I believe, I believe I had read that some of the wait staff had asked her to go to this bar. Oddly enough, this bar that was in Aruba, that was the bar that Natalie Holloway was seen at. And she was like, no, thank you. I'm not getting off the ship. She had said, to her mother, I'm not getting off the ship. So all these, they were all very attentive to her. So, when you go on a cruise and you get your picture taken, and then you get your picture taken by the photographer, and then they'll have, after a little while, they'll put them up, and you can then take a look at them, and you can buy your pictures. It's up for everybody. You go to the common area and you pick them up. So she was gonna go. They went over to pick them up, and the photographer said, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing your pictures there over here." They went over and the pictures were not there. The pictures were not there. And her mother said she also noticed like a few of the wait staff that were like staring at them. And she was like, "Can I help you with something?" And then they just like vanished. And this Alistair, this yellow, listen, his daughter spoke in the third part, and his daughter had said that when her father came home, her mother said that Yellow had this suitcase, and it was full of pictures of Caucasian women. Now, I don't know if they didn't say if her picture was in there, but what are you coming home? I'm thinking he's coming home because these are pictures of like women that they're going to sell into this black market. And these are pictures of these women. So listen, that's honestly, that's what I think happened. Plus they went on the Dr. Phil show. And because they had gotten this, like, somebody had sent this tip of them that had sent this these pictures of this woman, and it's terrible. It was these adult pictures, and I guess it's for like this adults only island where men can go over and have like, and there's prostitutes, or there's like, women who are in this sex trafficking, and and she looked different. She had different hair, but the FBI did like recognition patterns on her, and everything fit. And they were like, that more than likely is her. Oh, it's so sad. I guarantee, listen, I think that's what happened. That's why I'm going to tell you, I went on a cruise once. Would I ever go again? No, I would never go again. Because of this one, but then there's this documentary, but then there's another documentary out there called Poop Cruise. I'm going to have to watch that and see what that's about. But yeah. And then, so the last thing I want to say, because then I got to get ready for Bachelor in Paradise. But the one guy who saw her on the beach teamed up with this true crime guy, and because the guy who saw her on a beach is like a data communications expert, so he's really good at computers, and so is this true crime guy. And they set up a website called Amy Bradley is Missing. And they thought if they set it up, they can then track like IP addresses and find out where people are viewing from. And the one, where was it, Curacao or was it Barbados? It might have been Barbados. But the same IP keeps looking on like holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, on birthdays. Honestly, as soon as I heard that, I think that's Amy. And people were like, well, why is she not writing on there, hey, it's me, Amy? Remember when you overheard that, her say in the bathroom, can we go see the kids? So it's either that she has kids now and she's worried about what would happen to the kids and she can't leave the children, or they said a lot of times in these human trafficking situations, these women are told, if you try to escape, we're going to find your parents, we're going to find your family, we'll kill them, So it could be one of those, but I don't know if she's alive. Who knows? Oh my gosh. It's sad. Like, and the real sad thing is, like, the brother, he is 48 now. He does not have children because he's like subconsciously, he's seen what this has done to his family, his mother especially, and he's like, maybe subconsciously he's afraid that this would happen to one of his kids. And that's so sad. And then the parents, the parents made me think, like, they wake up every day with hope. They go to bed every day hoping that the next day is going to be the day they find out something. So it's like almost, would you rather, it seems to me like they would rather live with a hope in finding them. So would you rather live with that hope? It's uncertainty, but you still have hope. Or would you want to know what happened and have closure? Once again, it's difficult. It's difficult for me to say like what somebody should want because I'm not in that situation. I'm thinking though that if it were me, I would maybe want that closure just because it's been so long now. It's heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking situation, but honestly, I never thought about it before, but a cruise ship, yeah, that's like the perfect environment for something like this to happen. Because, you get young girls, and when you're on a cruise, you're uninhibited, you're on vacation, you're having drinks. So who's to say that somebody can't it happens all the time. Guys slip something in a woman's drink and then they're too inebriated, and then boom, next thing you know, they're stuffed in a suitcase or something. You ain't gonna stuff me in a suitcase. You're gonna need a pretty big ass suitcase and a crane to get me in a suitcase. Eat that cake. So, okay, it is 7:54. I gotta get my Diet Coke ready, and I have to get my charcuterie. So, okay, in the comments, let me know what you thought about this. It's Amy Bradley is Missing. It's on Netflix. It's 3 episodes. It's pretty good. It'll make you feel sad, and it'll make you pissed off. It'll make you completely pissed off. So, okay, I'm gonna get going. Listen, if nobody told you yet today, you are loved, seen, and heard. Please make sure that you put love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, hope, and positivity out there in the world so it comes back at you. Please take care of one another. Always remember, kindness is free. Please be aware of your surroundings. Be smart and safe. Let's hydrate with some water. And if you're in a dangerous situation, know that Dolly and I are sending our love, thoughts, prayers, and positive energy your way so you make it through. Love you guys, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye, guys. Bye.